All righty then. Listen, this is the very last week of God is a Matchmaker, Derek Prince, right? We are finishing up week 12. This is the chapter where his wife, his second wife, Ruth, does her meet me at the King David. So I am here tonight to go over that particular section. I'm just trying to make sure that I am on all the things because I should be on all the things. I can't tell though over here on this one particular platform if I am live or not. Let's see. Okay. I should be live over there, but I can't tell. Oh, goodness. All right. If you're in, will you just let me know where you're chiming in from? Because I can't see myself anywhere. Okay. I'm going to move on. Trying to make sure that I'm live on TikTok because I've added that to my stream, but I can't tell how to see that. Let me see where you lovelies are. Okay. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go on, right? Because I can't tell from looking over here if I am live on TikTok. I don't know how to find that part out. I should have Googled all this before. How to... Oh, no. Okay. I'm just trying to check. Okay, let's see if it'll tell me. Let me see. Hey, ma'am, good to see you. Okay, let me see. Let me figure out if I can. You should see. Okay, but I don't see it. Let's see. No, it doesn't tell me that I am on. I just see, okay, it on TikTok. Okay, no worries. Well, that's very good. Saving it and moving along. Okay. Okay. Well, I answered what I needed to answer, so. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and, oh, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate, I was trying to find out about TikTok because I added it onto my streaming software, but I don't see, it doesn't show me. Something I must have not done correctly in my back settings because it's not showing, but it's fine. I'll just do it on my phone and it'll be great. All right, chapter 12, something I'm sure I didn't do right on my back. In the background, I'm sure. All right. So I think I got everybody where they need to be. And if I don't, y'all pray my strength, honey, because I'm doing the best I can. I'm out here trying. I'm everywhere. I got all the things. But I know I'm live in all the other places. Okay. Let me make sure that that is what it needs to be so people can hear me. Okay. All right. Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to make sure that I have everybody where they need to be and all the things what it needs to be. Okay, so we're finishing up God is a Matchmaker. This is chapter 12. Meet Me at the King David. Now, if you've been following me for the whole 12-week series, this is a book that radically changed my thinking, my thought process as far as dating, courtship, marriage, about 3-4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I don't want to go as far as 4 because I don't think it was 4, but about 3 years ago. And what it did for me was it just helped me to see God's hand in the whole courtship dating process, right? Because a lot of us, especially as Christians, I'm just going to say me, not everybody, because I don't want to put that off on y'all, because y'all are probably better than I am. Myself thinking that I knew what dating should look like. I knew what courtship should look like. I knew what marriage should look like. And here I am. I have this overall picture in my mind when it's nothing about what the Lord had said about what marriage should look like, what courtship should look like. Because here's the truth. There are very few places, very few people, very few churches that spend a lot of time with singles. Now, I'm not saying every church, I'm saying a few of them that really actually spend time with singles and teach them other than don't be together because you're going to get yourself in a fornication situation. That's really what I heard. Maybe that was just me growing up. I don't know. Then when I became an adult, they spend a lot of time with the married couples because everybody got to stay married. But they spend not so much time with the single people until somebody has slipped and dipped and done something they shouldn't have done. So it was eye-opener for me when I found this resource, listening to a particular individual that I followed that had mentioned the book. So in that time, in the last 3 years, I've read it myself. And then I think this is my third or my fourth time going through. The first 2 or 3 times we did it in a private group where it was just me and whoever else agreed to read it. And we would be able to converse one with another. Then I did this one where I'm actually doing it out to the public, where people can hear it. You can't interact with me, which is my least favorite thing to do. I want to interact. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm thankful that you're here to listen to me talk, but I want to know what you have to say and how you think and how you're processing. But anywho, alas, we find ourselves at this last chapter. Now, next week, which is June 1st, I start a new series. TikTok folks, this is new for y'all. I start a new series. It's called the 90-Day No Talk Experiment, which is a book I wrote. And it's 90 straight nights of me going live, talking about my experience with a particular individual behind a particular situation. So it's 90 days of how the Lord got me to a place in my life where I was solid and secure with God. We were together real bad. So if you want to join that, it will start next Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to take that through June, July, August, 90 days. So if you would do me one quick favor, go ahead and share this live, like the video, comment, subscribe, YouTube folks. So 90 days is going to be on my First Love Ministries channel. I will not be doing that on One Mom because I've already done it on One Mom. So I'm only going to be doing it on First Love. So next week, you'll find it over there. Okay. So now we talked about all the things. Marriage was God's idea. Don't forget to like the video, tap the screen, do all the things. It just helps us get out into the algorithm. It's really helpful to share this information because if anybody feels like me, you're single, you desire marriage, but nobody really has taken a lot of time with us to tell us. And I'm 49 years old, y'all. I'm not talking about in my 20s. I was married by then. Nobody prepared me for marriage. I just got married. I just thought it was a thing you did. And I didn't know what you were supposed to do other than intimacy. And you don't even know how to do that half right. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you grew up a church girl, a good girl. You didn't do all those types of things. And you find yourself 16 years divorced and trying to get back on the wagon and figure out things in this next little bit, hopeful that the Lord has marriage for you and you're trying to navigate it. So if you know people like that, or maybe it's you, just join in, right? Just converse, talk to me in the chat. I'm here to talk to you in the chat as well. But share the video, just helps push us out into the algorithm. So we have been through all of the things, right? And Derek Prince wrote this book, and he talks about his first wife. He talks about his marriage. He gives us different attitudes we need to change and all the things. Now he's getting ready, or he tells us about his second wife, Ruth. But chapter 12 is her account of how her and David got together to be married. And this is called Meet Me in the King David. Now, the King David is a hotel in Jerusalem where she happened to live at the time. And he wanted to meet her because they had some things that they needed to discuss. So he said, hey, meet me at this restaurant. It was a hotel, but they serve food. Meet me at this place. And they just was going to sit down and chat. Now, meanwhile, he already knew that the Lord had called him to marry her. He had had two dreams. He had had two specific dreams about this woman. He could see her dress. He knew she was sitting at the foot of the mountain. The mountain was split. It was going to go this way or this way. And the only way for him to go the way he needed to go was he had to encounter this woman. He finds out later that Ruth is the woman. Now, he never gives us any indication of what she thought. So can you imagine this, right? Picture it, Sicily, 1942. Imagine that the Lord has told a man, because we all want this, we romanticize marriage, right? And we all want our husbands to say to us, the Lord told me you were my wife. We do. We want that. Now, we don't want random people telling us because we want to be in agreement with that. But we all want that experience. But really imagine it for her when she realized that the Lord had called this man to be her husband. She tells us in this particular chapter, she goes through her life and how she grew up and how her first marriage went. And she had sworn off men. She was like, I'm good. I found the Lord, me and God, we good. I don't need a man. Or she didn't want one, right? I don't know what she said, need or want, whatever the case was. She was just happy to be with the Lord, which is what a lot of people say, right? I've heard this repeatedly, and I have to question myself quite often. When you get content in the space that you are, when you and the Lord are good, God's going to send you a husband. Can I tell you, I've been good with the Lord for years and I'm still single. So I don't know if that's the quite right thinking there, or maybe they're teaching it to me wrong, or maybe I'm not content where I am. I feel very content. I have purpose. I have a calling on my life. I have things that I do that don't require anybody else to do with me. My children are grown and raised, and I'm living my best life, the best life I've ever lived. My health is good. I'm doing all of the things that are important to me, and I still don't have a husband. I just don't know where he is. I don't know how to get to him. I don't know how to make that connection happen, but I am content where I am. This space has been very good to me. So again, she talks about, this is the chapter where she finally wraps it all up for us in a pretty little bow. And I was reading it, I was really confused. I'm like, is she ever going to get to the point? She does get to the point. And the point that she brings us to is she had to trust in the Lord, right? Because here she is. She was a woman who had gotten married. She had married a Jewish man and converted to his religion. She had not previously been Jewish, but she had married this man. They had met in the military service or whatever the case. She had converted to his religion. So she became religious in that instant. She knew all of the customs, all of the laws, all of the things. And their marriage was, I guess it was good for what it was. She couldn't have children, so they adopted 4 kids. But all of a sudden, the husband starts to cheat. He finds somebody else, right? And you're like, what? Wait a minute. She's so confused. And her friend tells her, ignore it. Don't worry about it. Get your hair done. Put on your smelly good stuff. Go buy some nice little nighty things and win your man back. And so she does all of this and things are going well. And then the husband is going to move because he's getting a new job, a better job. And she thinks, oh, this is going to be so amazing. He's going to get a new job. It's going to be great. And then he says to her by happenstance, oh, this lady's going as well. So this thing ain't over. Y'all still doing what y'all doing. And she's like, no, I'm not doing any of this. So she goes and she files for divorce. Now, in the meanwhile, here she is. She has these 4 children. She's getting alimony. She's getting child support. So, of course, she's able to take care of her children. But then he moves further away from there where they are right then. And so he's no longer supporting them. And she has to raise these kids. Sounds like a lot of us, right? A lot of us women who didn't have any other option to leave, right? When the man left, somebody had to stay with the kids. It would pick us. We the ones. And so he leaves. He's not supporting her financially anymore. She is still a practicing Jewess. And so she's got these children. And now she has to get a part-time job. She has a place to live, but now she has to get a part-time job. She enrolls in school and she gets sick. She gets sick with the flu and she gets sick with 2 more other things. And she's just sick for a long time. Now you have to understand that she's telling this because, again, I'm saying, is this story ever going to make any sense? And I know you're probably saying the same thing, Shakim. Are you ever going to get to the point? I'm getting to the point. She tells us that all throughout her religious life, she never knew Jesus. She didn't know him as far as having a personal relationship with him. In fact, if any of her friends knew that she was even thinking about Jesus, they would have probably excommunicated her. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is not a thing. This is according to her. I've never studied Judaism and all that. I'm just telling you, according to her, they didn't believe in him as being the son of God, the Messiah and all that. They didn't believe all that. So here she is, never knowing him in that way, but she gets sick. And so because she got sick, she came, I guess, to her right mind somewhere and said to the Lord, if you're really out there, heal my body. And he miraculously heals her body. So here she is going on about her life. Her body's miraculously healed. The flu is gone and all those other things that she had going on are now no longer in her body. But she forgets to the God she prayed. She forgets about him after she got the healing. So she is moving on with her life. All is well. She's working. She's in college. She's graduated. She has done all the things. She's taking care of her kids. And she gets sick. She gets sick again. So here she is on her second illness, and she's getting ready to have surgery and all the things because she's just not well. And she prays again. And she says, you know what? There's got to be something to this Jesus thing, because here I am praying. Hey, now, how are you? I'm glad to see everybody. She says, there's got to be something to this Jesus thing, because I just prayed and I got healed the first time and he heals her the second time. Now, this second time, she did not forget about him. She says, listen, I got to read this. I got to read this Bible. Now, she couldn't tell any of her other friends about this miraculous experience with healing that she had, but she met someone that was a Christian. And so she was able to tell them, and they gave her the New Testament for her to read, because of course that wasn't a thing. And then they also gave her another book about prayer. And so she begins to engross and immerse herself in this study material. She's like, I got to read this thing. I gotta engross myself in this word. And she falls in love with Jesus. Now you have to remember, she'd had this crazy experience with her first husband. And she was like, thank you so much for the roses. I appreciate that. I appreciate you tapping the screen, doing all that. It just helps me out so much. She's got all of this craziness with this ex-husband, and she has found Jesus, and she is good. Hear me, by the Holy Ghost. She is like, Lord, me and you. If it's nobody else, it's me and you. I'm straight. I don't need nothing else with my life. She is on the pathway to, when she get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing it will be. Well, little did she know that the Lord had already been dealing with David on a whole nother continent about her. He had already seen her in the dream. right? So here's the thing. How do you get to the place where you have total and complete trust in the Lord for your life? That was the whole point of this chapter. How did she get to that place where everything about her life became total trust, total dependence on the Lord? Because if we don't realize it, that's exactly what we need in order to have a miraculous and supernatural marriage. Now, you can have any kind of marriage you want. I'm promising you there's somebody out here that will marry you. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the right somebody, but for you to have a supernatural, miraculous marriage, you got to trust the Lord. And to marry a person you don't even really know. She knew who he was, but she didn't know him in like a close relation. To her, he was a preacher personality. Just think about your favorite preacher who does, preaching on social media. That's who he was to her. And she was thinking to herself, how is it? Because I've had this question as well. How is it that a man of your caliber and your quality interested in somebody like me who is nobody? I'm from nowhere. I don't have any breeding. I don't have any standing. I'm not from the aristocracy. My parents ain't nobody. How? And she couldn't understand how that would happen to her. But the Lord whispered to her and he said, trust me. She goes back and she references, I think it's Psalms 37:4. Let me make sure I'm reading it right. Take delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. Delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4. And so here she is giving her whole, complete, and full yes to the Lord, to Jesus. And God is saying, trust me, I'm going to direct your path. Trust me, I'm going to direct your path. Trust me, I'm going to direct your path. Because it seems really crazy. It seems like this just doesn't make any sense to anybody with good sense. Like, how is it that you want me? How is this man even know I exist? Like, honestly, how does this man even know I exist? There's something about him that just doesn't make any sense to me. And I need you to explain this. But he's been having dreams. She's decided to trust the Lord. So when he asked her to meet him at the King David, he's asking her all these questions. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your life. Tell me how you're raised. Tell me what your parents were like. Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your divorce. Tell me all the things. Because she has also convinced herself, and I think this is through conditioning, that because she was a divorcee, that she would not be favorable in his eyes because she already had a strike against her. Her first marriage didn't work. Now he's a very prominent person, and maybe my background, my past is going to come and somehow hinder his present and future if he decides to connect with me. Because whether we want to believe it or not, or mention it or not, or even agree to it or not, all of us have had thoughts like that. But what about what I did in the past? And is he going to find out? And is she going to know? And which of my friends are going to tell her? You know what I'm saying? We all have that secret worry in the back of our mind that something in our past is going to disqualify us. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Is going to disqualify us from our present and future marriage, right? That's a thing that I have dealt with in my past, is thinking, oh my goodness, he's going to find out about all of this and then going to say, no, we don't, we can't be together, which actually happened in the book. When they finally get to the point where she's accepting, because she's asking God and praying the whole time. She's like, Lord, and I think what the crazy part, and you got to read the chapter for it to really make sense. When they met the first time, she said she looked at him and absolutely felt nothing. Now you got to remember, she agreed to marry this man. She agreed and she trusted the Lord, but she didn't feel anything towards him. That's a whole God experience. You have to know that the Lord is directing your steps in this. Now, I'm not telling anybody, listen to Shakim about the Holy Ghost. I'm not telling none of y'all to jump up here and go marry somebody you don't know. I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you to marry somebody you don't love. But what I am trying to communicate is that you have to have total trust and reliance on the Lord for all of the steps of your life, which was the decision that she made coming out of that bad marriage, coming out of an illness, twice illness that the Lord delivered her from. And on the deliverance of that second illness, she was like, you know what? Nobody else could do this but Jesus. And I'm about to trust in the Lord. She became an intercessor in out of her affliction. She became a prayer warrior because she was having so much illness happen. So after they have this conversation, well, let me jump back. He visits her in Jerusalem. He was going there for something else, and he ends up visiting her. But she now is on her third illness where she's an invalid. She has ruptured a disc in her back. And something else with, she was born with like scoliosis or something like that, the curvature of her back. And so she couldn't even walk. This is called God is a Matchmaker. The book is called God is a Matchmaker by Derek Prince. It's chapter 12. God is a Matchmaker by Derek Prince. And so she couldn't even walk. She could only sit up for, a few hours at a time, during the day. She would have excruciating pain. And this man comes and he prays for her. And by this time, she's accepted Jesus. She still lives in Jerusalem. She does a lot of their customs and stuff, but she has accepted Jesus at this point in her life. So he comes to her place. He prays for her, lays hands on her, and then he prophesies to her to trust in the Lord and all the things that are getting ready to happen. So when she talks to him again, he says, hey, I'm going to be in Kansas City. Hey, ma'am, how are you? I'm going to be in Kansas City. Would you consider, next time if you're over here at this time, would you and your daughter come? And there's some people who are interested in where you live. And I think you'd be resident expert. You can tell them. So she does go. And he's only able to be there for 3 days. She stays for 12 days. And these are his friends. And they're asking him like, what is he saying? And she's like, I think that he's going a little bit further than what I'm trying to go right now, because something is weird. He's being nice to me. He's asking me questions about my personal life. He's no longer being the televangelist. He's trying to be personal with me. I'm not real sure what this is. So she goes into prayer again. And she says to the Lord, now this is the part, y'all grab this, catch it. Okay. She says, Lord, whatever you want for my life, this is what I want for my life. And she says, I'm surrendering my will to whatever you want, even if it's Derek. Now that's a big prayer. That's a bold prayer before the Lord. Now here's what I have to tell y'all, right? Because I don't know what this man looks like. I don't know what she looks like. I don't know if they're physically attracted to each other. I need to be physically attracted. I'm like, Lord, can I at least be physically attracted? Because to just give God a blind yes, right? That's a whole nother level of trust for real. But can I say this to you with absolute certainty? God is not going to give you anything that is not good for you. Every good and perfect gift come from above. That's what the word says. And when I trust the Lord enough to trust what his word says, then I can trust him because he is the word. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was with God. His words never lie. So I know that he has my best interest. I've prayed. I've gone before the Lord. I've laid on the floor. I've been prostrate. I have said all the things. I have given God like the full whatever. But I have said, even at the end of that, but God, if what I'm praying for is not what you have for me, whatever you have for me is what I want for me. That's the prayer that she prayed. And here she is, again, a nobody from nowhere. And the Lord is coupling her with this, who in her eyes is this big person. And I'm not saying that that's for everybody, because everybody's not going to be with somebody that we know. It doesn't matter if we know them. It's just matter if you know them. But that was her thing. She was like, how is it, God, that you have put this man who is so well known, he's world renowned, and nobody knows me. I can't even walk. I can't even sit up in a chair for 2 hours. But they go on a slow journey to learning each other. They never have a lot of time of being together, right? So one of the things that I know that a lot of people say is I can't date long distance because I need to see you every day. I went in this book and I read they didn't spend a lot of time together. It was a couple days here, 2 days over here, a day and a half. I'm passing through the airport type of situation. And they still trusted the Lord because I'm in my place praying. You're in your place praying. And we just going to pray this thing through until the Lord gives us a clear response on what he wants us to do. That takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of faith in the Lord to believe that God has his best interest for you. But you have to know that the Lord means that for you. I think she quoted in here Hebrews 11:6. Let me go back and read that very carefully. I don't have my Bible over here with me. I have several Bibles. Hold on, I got one. Let me look. Oh, yeah. Let me just grab this one. I got all the things, right? So Hebrews 11:6 was another verse that she quoted. I just don't want to quote it wrong. That's why I'm going to read it, because I'll get real upset with myself if I quote it wrong. So let's not do that. This is God's word translation. Hebrews 11:6 says, no one can please God without faith. Whoever goes to God must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who seek him. So we've heard it. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. In this marriage journey, I'm praying for a supernatural marriage, because it's going to take big shoulders to carry this. I've lost a lot of weight, but I am big in my belief system about the Lord. My faith is huge. It's going to take a man with broad shoulders to carry me, because I'm always going to believe the Lord. I'm always going to trust God. And if you don't trust God, then we can't be together. We just cannot. It's not going to ever work. So it's going to take big faith. So here you are saying, well, I can't long distance date because I need to see you every day. With the way technology works today, do you see me? If you see me, she don't see us. You see me? I see you. You see me? You know what I'm saying? Like, people say the craziest stuff. I can't date because you don't live in my city. What is it? A plane ticket? It's a bus fare? It's gas? What is that? We so limit God because we think humanly. When I'm reading this account of this man and this woman who lived on 2 separate continents, and they believed the Lord and trusted God for each other, and God brought them together. Even after he was getting ready to, he felt the Lord was saying, this is my wife. But he said to her, and he talked about it in one of his chapters, he said, but I have to go back and ask my accountability partners. I got to talk to them first, because this is the agreement that we made with each other. Now, that's the other problem that we have. Most of us want to make our decision. We don't want to ask nobody. We don't want to talk to nobody. I like her. He like me. Check the box. Yes or no. Hey, we going to be together. Well, you better get somebody with some good sense, because right now you ain't got no good sense. You have emotion. You are emoting. You are feeling some things. Your body is bodying. You better get somebody with some good sense. And I know he talked about it in his chapter. They had very specific thoughts behind him marrying her. The first thing was she was divorced. And there was a big stigma around divorce back in those days. This is in the 70s. The second thing was she was an invalid. She really could not do a lot. She couldn't travel. He travels 6 months out the year, different places. He gone every night trying to preach and do all the things. She has to lay down 20 hours a day, 22 hours a day. And so here she is believing the Lord to heal her body. He's already prayed for her. She believed in the Lord to heal her body. And they're both believing, is this the person you have for me? And she goes back and she quotes Hebrews 11:6. No one can please God without faith. Whoever goes to God must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who seek him. Do you seek the Lord? Because I believe that the Lord is going to honor my prayer. The prayers that I've prayed, the prayers that my children have prayed. When my son was 2 years old, he prayed for mom to have a husband. He asked for a brown one. A brown husband is what mom wants. He said, Lord, would you please send mom a brown husband? So you think that God is not going to honor the prayer of that boy, even though he's 16 now? I believe that God is going to honor that prayer. I believe that God's going to honor the prayers that I've prayed. But I have to open up my mindset that I'm not putting any limits on what God can do. So what if you don't live where I live? I am not bound by time, distance, space. We just have to work it out. I work 210 days a year. That means I'm off 155. What you got? What other excuse you got? Because 155 days is a lot of time to be with somebody that you ain't married to. I mean, that's a pretty good, that's amount of time. That's a good amount of time for me. Well, I just don't have the money. If you don't have the money to come back and forward, or me to go back and forward, then probably you should work on your finances, right? Believe the Lord to send you either money management skills or a better job so that you can pay off everything you owe, so that you can have a running surplus. So now we don't have to talk about who can't come. Because that's another thing that people say, I'll have this, it's expensive. I get that it's expensive, but anything worth having is going to cost you something. So am I not worth a plane ticket? If you get it right on the right, Expedia or whatever the case is, you can get you a good deal. I use my credit card to pay for bills, and then I pay my credit card off. Well, those credit card purchases are building points for hotel rooms. Why are you needing hotel rooms? Because I travel for ministry. But if I have to travel to go see my significant person and I need to stay somewhere because I'm not staying with him at his house, I need to stay somewhere. Listen, I'm building up points. So here we are hearing their story. And so again, the friend said no. He had to call her. He was excited. He was like, girl, I know you the one. She was like, okay, if you say so, if the Lord has put that on your heart, then I'm going to be in agreement with you that I'm the one. He gets home. Them friends said no. They said, we don't think it's the thing. They wrote her a letter. He actually flew back to Jerusalem just to tell her. He's like, I need to tell you this in person. I'm just going to come through. He just came through to give her the no letter. They had wrote her a letter. And she accepted it. And then she again went back to the Lord, crying on her face, on her hands and knees. She said, Lord, how is it that I trusted you to open myself up to this man that I didn't want to open myself up to, because I already had told you I was good. When that last one left, I said I'm good. But no, you was like, nah, you ain't good. Do what I say. Trust me. How is it that you allow me to open myself up to this man, and now I am heartbroken because the people that he cares for said no? And she said in that instant, there was total peace. The Lord said, trust me. So here we are. We've got all these things. It just doesn't seem like it's working out right. He ain't acting right, or the family acting crazy, or whatever the case is. All of that. And the Lord says to you in his still small voice, the way he communicates, however he communicates with you, trust me. And then you go back to Hebrews 11:6. Without faith, is it impossible to please God? So I got to believe that the Lord is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. I seek you diligently, Lord. I give you everything. I've given you my total and complete yes. And I am going to allow this thing to play out the way it's going to play out. So he's going to Africa, and he's got a couple other places that he needs to go. And he says to her as he's leaving, he says, listen, I'm going to be traveling and ministering. Will you pray for me? Just here's my itinerary, the days I'm going to be, where I'm going to be. Just pray for me. They didn't have any much more communication after that. And she says, sure, I'll pray for you. Well, at one particular event, she felt a huge need to just pray. And she just began to weep. And she said she went into warfare. And it was like that for 2 or 3 days, the whole time he was at this particular place. Well, not long after that, he calls her again. He says, hey, I'm coming through Jerusalem, and I want you to meet me at the King David. And she said his tone sounded different this time. Well, unbeknownst to her at the moment when they got together, he said, when I was over here at this place, I really was just in warfare and intercession. She said, well, as it were, the same time I was in warfare and intercession because something was happening. He left that meeting with her and he said, do not worry, because I believe that the Lord is going to work this thing out and you're going to be my wife. Now, remember, the friends have already said no. She's accepted the no. They both went into warfare. And now he says, do not worry, because the Lord is going to work this thing out and you're going to be my wife. Now, you got to have some serious faith in Jesus, for real. You can't play with the Lord on this stuff like this. I mean, you can. It's not going to bode well for you, but you got to know that the Lord has said what he said. And it wasn't very long. She goes back into this conversation, and she says it wasn't very long before he was coming back to Jerusalem. And he said, listen, they have given their approval, but I can't move to Jerusalem right now. What I need to do is back over here in the States. I need you to be able to travel back to the States. Well, by this time, the Lord had miraculously healed her back. And he had miraculously uncurved her spine. When she went to have the x-ray, they said it looked like a whole new back. Like, this is not the same x-ray of the person. It took radical faith to heal every single situation that the friends had an issue with. She can't travel with you, and you travel for a living. And the Lord had miraculously healed that spine. She was totally absolved of all of the pain. And she said God had to take her through that process because that was what she needed in order for her faith to be solidified in case anything else came up. You don't understand why you're going through the season or the situation, or you don't understand why it hasn't worked out. I don't understand why God hasn't given me a husband yet. I've done everything I needed to do. I'm not in debt. My kids are good. Most of them are out of the house by now. I've done all the things and he still hasn't given me the husband. But my faith is strong because the Lord gave me a word and I have held on to that word since 2016. It's 2025. Doesn't mean the word is not still the word. It is the word and I'm believing the Lord, but I'm having to take my hands off of how it's going to all play out. I don't know the details. I don't know the person. I don't know where. All I know is whatever you want for my life, Lord, that's what I want for my life. And that's what she talks about in her chapter. Let me see if I can just share a couple of things that were very key in here. She says, as I waited before him, peace began to come, a quiet assurance that God was guiding me to a plan for which he had been preparing me. She knew and he knew that God was prepared. She said, I feel like God had been preparing me for Derek my whole life. Now, you got to remember, he was married to another lady for 30 years. So how do you feel like God was preparing you your whole life for this man? And he was married to somebody else for 30 years. She said, I just feel like every test, every trial I went through, every pain, every sickness, every illness, everything that I went through, I feel like the Lord was preparing me for where God was taking me later. And I needed to go through that transition so that when the fulfillment of the promise came, I was able to handle what was coming with the promise. So here's the thing, right? You got to tell yourself. She said with his first wife, after his first wife died and he was the caregiver of her and all that, when she came into the ministry, it was a very small ministry. They had about 12 staff. When he married her, when God coupled them together, he had just started a radio program, because we're talking back in the 70s, moving into the early 80s. He had just started a radio program. They now had offices in Russia, China, in Samoa, in Netherlands, in United States, in the United Kingdom, so many places. I mean, she named off. Listen, he was only able to go so far without her. Doesn't mean that he didn't do stuff. He did. Remember, she said he's world renowned. How he know me? He's world renowned. Very good. He can only go so far without me. But when he got her, it was like God morphed his entire ministry to be what it was supposed to be. The Lord spoke a word to me. He said, Shakima, you'll be in your ministry. Your husband will be in his ministry. When the two ministries meet, it will be M squared, multiplied ministry. I'm doing what I'm doing, all the things that God has called me to do, not because I'm doing them to get a husband, but because this is where I find purpose. This is where my passion is. Titus 2 Women, First Love Ministries with Shakima Wilson, Coffee and Conversation, Daughters of Grace. That's what God has called me to do. And the right person, it hasn't been the right person yet. I've met people. I know people. I know 100 people who would do stuff right now if I was in agreement. I am not. So they ain't the right people. But when I meet the right person, the little bit that I'm doing that is making a worldwide impact, because some of y'all are watching me from different countries and continents, it's going to explode, because that's what it's supposed to do. And if you don't believe and trust the Lord for the word that he gave you, then every single distraction, every single delay, every single thing that comes to make you feel like it's not going to ever come to pass, that thing is going to have you talk yourself right out of what God has for you. I refuse to be talked out of what God has for me. Nobody on here or anywhere else can tell me that God did not tell me what he said. God said what he said, and that's it. And if you don't believe it, guess what? That's your business. They don't have nothing to do with me. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. And we have to have that assurance in the Lord. And the only way she came up with that assurance in the Lord was she had to get to know the Lord for herself. It's good that you come and listen to me. It's good that you listen to your own pastors and whatever. But the Bible says to study to show yourself approved. You and the Lord got to get down with each other. Y'all got to be together real bad. Because in the midnight hour, when I'm over here on my face crying, I ain't calling my pastor. I'm not. He sleep. I'm not calling my pastor's wife. She sleep. But I know that I can call on the name of the Lord, and God will hear me every single time. And he will minister to me where I am, in the middle of my pain, in the middle of my affliction, in the middle of my illness, in the middle of my craziness, and whatever else the case may be. He will come down and he will talk to me, and he will help me, and he will give me that peace that surpasses all understanding. And that was where I came to. We're just short of an hour, and I'm just going to wrap it up here. That was the decision that I came to after reading this book. It was like, you're worried about all the little details. Why, Shakima? I got the details. If the Lord listened to me by the Holy Ghost, if God can speak and say, let there be light, and there was light, and he separated the night from the day, and the earth and then the water, and he did all that, and he put the little spotted red neck woodpecker, and I mean if you look at animal species, we have a Chiweenie and we have a lab beagle mix, but there are all kind of species of all the things. If God is in that little bit of the details, he's not in the details of my life. He cares more about everything else than what he cares about my life. I can't be convinced of that. Nobody can convince me that God is not in every single detail of my life. I shared this on my other platforms. I didn't share it here on TikTok. But when my daughter was born, I was 14 years old. I had just turned 14. The month after I turned 14, I had my first child. And that all came from a situation of years of things happening to me that should not have ever happened. And I chose life. I chose to keep her. Everybody said to me, she should not be born. They said that's the nicest way I can say it. She should not be born. And I said at 13, I don't care what you say. I'm not borning her. She's going to be born. I chose to give her life. Everything about my life was trash. She had to have she had a right to a chance. Everybody in my family don't have her. She don't need to. Nope, we're good. We don't need anybody else. And this past week, my daughter stepped foot on her third continent. She's 35 years old. She has been to her third continent. Next year in May of 2026, she will graduate with her doctorate's degree. You can't tell me that God don't care nothing about my life. You can't tell me that if he can look on those little details in the most lonely period of my life and make sure that he does what he needs to do so that 35 years later, I can see the goodness that's in my child when nobody else could see it. God cares about everything. And if he cares about all of that, then why would he not care about my marriage? He does. And I am thankful that he does. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trust him with it. I am gone all the days where Shakima is just sitting around worrying. I wonder if it's him. I wonder if I have things to do better than just sitting around worrying about, is it him? Because him going to make it known. That's what I'm just telling you this. Him going to make it known to me. The Lord assured me, the last thing the Lord told me about my husband that I can share, he said, Shakima, he'll know you're his wife long before you know he's your husband. Oh, That was the best thing he could have ever told me, because that takes all the responsibility off of my shoulders, which is where I had it before. I was so concerned and so weighed down and so bogged down with, is it him? When is he coming? Is it this time? Is it that time? Can I tell you that I am living in such freedom now that I don't worry about any of those details? Do I still desire marriage? Absolutely. Do I think about it every day? I don't. I got other stuff to do. Can it pass my mind at times? I have no concern over anything. People would say to me, you're 49. The odds of you getting married are slim to none. Listen, I knew some people, Mr. Randolph and his wife. Mr. Randolph is about 80 if he a day. They just got married last year. There's still time. There's still hope for Shakima. There's still hope. Oh, there's pee in the dating pool. Just don't get in the water. I mean, what? What is the you're never going to be, nobody is ever going to be able to make me doubt what the Lord said to me. And that's what she said. She said instantly she fell in love with her husband when he came back that last time. And he said to her, don't worry. I know the Lord wants you to be my wife. It's all going to work out. She said she looked at him and immediately fell in love with him. She didn't feel nothing else. She was starting to care and concern, but she was in that thing. You understand what that is? Nobody is going to be able to get me off of the fact that God cares about me. God thinks about me. God has his best plan for me. Whatever you want for me, God, is what I want for me. And so when I read this material, it just helped me to stop worrying about it. Philippians 4:6 says, don't be worried about anything. Stop worrying about it. Let me read it for you, because some of us need that, right? While we work, all we do is worry. Stop worrying about stuff. Shakeem, I'm talking to me, not you, right? Because you're better than me. But I've been in that before. 4:6 says, never worry about anything, but in every situation, let God know what you need in prayer and request while giving thanks. So what I'm doing is, I'm not going to worry about it, but I am going to thank God. I'm going to let him know where I am. And then I'm going to thank him for hearing me and doing what I need done. Now, don't get it twisted. God is not a genie where you can rub him and get your 3 wishes. He's going to give us the best that he believes is the best for our life. And I have to be in agreement with his best. That's another thing about faith. Faith doesn't say that I just believe God for what I think I want. I have to believe God for what's best for me according to him. God is making me. I'm going to be able to say to my husband, I feel like everything I went through in my life was to get me to you. When I get married, I know I probably shouldn't even tell this, but I'm going to tell it anyway. When I get married, I'm going to walk down the aisle to Rascal Flatts, Broken Road. And that's my favorite song. It's my favorite love song ever, because it says, I spent so much time trying to get to you, right? I went down the wrong road trying to find you, and then here you were all along. I'm doing a bad rendition of the song, but that's what I believe. Everything, every bump, every loose pebble that I stepped on, and every stumble that I made, my divorce, having and raising and sending my children on their way. Not to say, a lot of people would say, well, your children need a dad. They do. But I think that a man who comes into my life can be an asset to my children. I believe he can be an asset to my children in their adult life. I don't think that just because he didn't find me when they were small says anything. I think that he can be an asset to them in adulthood, as I could be with his children if he has any. So what I'm saying is that this whole series, this book, you need to read the book. It's only going to make sense to you if you read it for yourself. But her account was so different from his account, because I could see her life. Here, I'm nobody. And you, who I see as this big person, people respect you all across the world, and you chose me. But again, think back. He didn't choose her because she was cute. He didn't choose her because she could do anything for him. He chose her because God said that's the one. So I do believe that the Lord can answer. I do believe that the Lord can speak to you about your spouse. Now make sure he speak to the spouse too, right? So she knew that God had set her for him, and he knew that God said, he didn't just roll up to her and say, "You're gonna be my woman." He didn't do that. They prayed, she prayed, he prayed, he kind of filled her out a little bit, and then they came to this conclusion together, and it worked out. Do I know how your love story is going to end? I have no clue. I don't even know how mine going to end, or how it's even going to start, but I do know it's going to start. I do know that I have every confidence in the Lord. He has never not kept his promise to me. Not one thing God has ever said to me has fallen to the ground. Never. He's always kept his promise. Has it happened the way I thought it should? Not every time. Has it happened when I thought it should? Not every time. But has it happened every time? So I want you to be encouraged about that. Just know that the Lord hears. No prayer that you have prayed has gone unanswered. I've had to go back and ask myself, did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? People would say, well, Shakima, what have you done? First thing that was important to me was to heal. I had to heal past my marriage. The biggest failure of my life was my marriage. I knew that I was a good wife, and I was going to be a good wife, and I should have been a good wife, and I wasn't a good wife. I was a good wife at the end, but it was too late. The marriage was done by then, right? So I had to heal. The second thing I had to do was I had to take care of any debt, and there was debt left. When my ex left, he left me with the kids and the debt. All right. And so I had to take care of my debt. I didn't want and don't want somebody coming in to have to now carry the load of my past. That's all done. I don't owe anybody anything. I had to then raise my children. Well, God should have sent them when they were kids. They needed a dad. They have a father. He's in their life. Very good. Amen. But my attention would have been divided between my husband and my kids. And because I believe in the covenant of marriage, I would have totally shifted allegiance to my husband. Doesn't mean I would have not been there for my kids, but they would have felt a strain there. I know that now. I didn't know that 16 years ago. So my 35, 29, and 21-year-old, they're all grown. They don't need mom. My 16-year-old will graduate next year at 17, and he'll go off to college a year early. Will he still need mom? Sure. But I'm a lot more free now than I was when I had little kids. I couldn't go. I couldn't do. If my husband travels, I don't have nothing hindering me. I can go when I feel like it. So those are things, again, my brain wasn't thinking that then, but I'm thinking it now. I had to be able to find my purpose, because my purpose can't be wrapped up in who he is. I had to have things for me to do. So what I do is I do the Titus 2 women. I do Daughters of Grace. I do Coffee and Conversation. I do all kinds of things. Those are things that I enjoy. I teach the woman part of marriage. I don't teach the man part because I'm not a man. I can kind of speak to some things, but I teach what I teach, and that works out perfectly. I had to get my health in order. I've been on a health journey since August 1st of last year, 2024. I'm coming up on 1 solid year of working out every single day, getting this temple in order so it is ready for all of the intimacy that my husband desires. I wasn't ready for that back then. I had to do all of that. So what am I doing in the waiting? You're getting you together. You and the Lord are having conversations. God, what is it that I need to do? If your children are not adjusting well to their dad or mom being gone, then you need to focus on your kids. You can get a relationship anytime. Now I need to focus here, make sure my children are stable, make sure they are in their good, right space. All of those things are important. Because when your spouse does come, you don't want any issues. When they got the go ahead and the approval from the friends, I think they were married within 4 to 6 months. It didn't take long. I don't plan a long engagement. You want to marry me? Good. I don't need a big fancy nothing. Let's just have your kids, my kids, and be in front of the Lord. Let's do what we got to do. That's me. That's not everybody. Oh, we're going to get married in 2029. Oh, no, we're not. Okay. All righty, y'all. Well, there it is. Thank you again so much for joining me for this entire series. It's 12 weeks. It's a long time. I get that. Like the video for me, share, subscribe. What you're going to see from me next week on Sunday is June 1st starts the kickoff of our 90 nights. We'll be together for 90 straight nights. Sometimes most times it'll be 8 o'clock, but on Tuesdays it'll be 9 because Tuesdays is prayer. I have to go to prayer. So you'll be with me at 9 o'clock on Tuesdays, but every other day it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So I love you guys. Thank you again so much for stopping by. I'm going to figure out why my streaming software did not work on my TikTok, but I'm going to get that done. I do appreciate you all. Love you so much. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the likes and all the things. And we will see you guys next time. Bye, y'all. Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me. All righty. That's one down. Let's see. Hey, ma'am. Thank y'all. I'm glad you came. Bye. Let's see. Did that end? I'm trying. Okay, there.